Hello, and welcome back to Witch on the Holy Night. My name is Maybe Dennis, and last time we finally reached a compromise between Sojiro and Alice. Sojiro showing that even if she does what she does, he won't really be a bother to her, and Alice accepting his stay here and deciding to take 60% of the rent compared to Alco's measly 40%. Our boy's gonna be broke. But the chapter ended, and now we're on to the next one. Could have swore I'm getting a strange sense of deja vu. I'm pretty sure the last chapter was also Are You For Real, but not Are You For Real? But actually, before we get into that, I noticed that at the end of the last chapter, as I mentioned before, there was a new part added. I think it was called Martha. So let's give that a shot. Yeah, here we go. Martha. Don't know what this is gonna be. But we have some cloudy skies with lots of ash in the air? I don't really know. Whoa, that's something. Some weird light effect, or maybe some weird magic fog. It's 8 o'clock. Walking around the mansion at night often led to mysterious encounters. He's like, why am I here? Mist might suddenly fill the hallway. Or doors might appear and disappear. Just when Sojiro thought he had seen it all with his pig-shaped shadows, mending the carpet, or with the pig-shaped shadows, he heard the sound of a bird's flapping coming through the sunroom. What's that? As much as he had become accustomed to turning a blind eye to such occurrences, the sound of flapping wings in the sunroom was too much to ignore. Not just one bird, or even two, it sounded like dozens. So many birds packed into the sunroom would inevitably lead to shattered windows or broken glass. Broken glass. Sojiro grabbed the broom and dashed towards the sound, prepared for the worst. Perhaps he was moved by his natural impulse to help, or desperate self-defense. His mind flashed to what a teacher had said at school.
皆さんも部屋の整頓は心がけてくださいね。人間の自制心って環境に流されるらしいですから。ほら、それまで犯罪の少ない町だったのに、一つボロボロの家ができただけで、近隣住人がみんな自堕落になるというあれ。
Technically true, yeah.
環境への無関心さがすさんだ精神を作り上げるとか眉唾ですけど、正直なところ、ブームだからって盗んだバイクで走り回ったり、学校の廊下の窓ガラスとか割って回っちゃダメですよ。先生の仕事が増えますから。
Yeah, just think of your poor teacher. At the time, school gangs had garnered a certain reputation amongst the youth. Sojiro appreciated the basic message of the lecture as he ruminated over it. The thought of broken windows had given him a sense of urgency, as if the mansion's very moral foundations were at stake. His roommates were harsh enough with him already. Anything further would only lead to rampant rumors at school about their cruelty. He had to protect the honor of the student council president. It was also concern for his own safety that sent him rushing to the sunroom. However... There wasn't a bird to be seen or a chirp to be heard upon his arrival. Only Alice and Aoko, sipping afternoon tea at the table that overlooked the courtyard, were present. The dozen of birds Sojiro had sensed with his mountain intuition were nowhere to be seen.
Alice, 見た? さあ、もう見えないのならいないということでしょう。
If can't see them, there must be bird.
だっていないよ、鳥。
It was a lie so blatant, even Sojiro could see through it. He knew for a fact that he heard the flapping of a flock of birds. Unable to accept that there are really no wild animals in the room, Sojiro approached the windows with suspicion. There are no feathers or any other signs of birds having been outside, either.
あ、夕食、鳥鍋?
Of course, Aoko would say something like that as she watched Sojiro search desperately.
あいにく今日のバイトは魚屋さんだ。イワシでよければ土産にするけど。
イワシ。
Yeah.
イワシか。私 あのパイ嫌いなのよね。
Yes, dislikes sardine pie.
いえ、むしろイワシのパイとか食べたことないのよね。
Alco's stand-up routine was far ahead of its time. Sojiro backed away from the window and begrudgingly left the sunroom. Feeling Alice's all too familiar, inscrutable gaze upon his back.
なんだいアリ
Just as he opened his mouth to ask her what she wanted, whoa, right in the face. A blue comet crashed into his head. It needed no explanation. Just look at her face. It could only be Robin, the mysterious bird that appeared frequently in the mansion. Chirp, chirp, chirp! It shrilled accusingly. The truth was, this tiny aggressor that assaulted him just now was the greatest of the mansion's 7 wonders. It's got a bunch of stars on it. Oh, Sojiro went down that mountain. And that is a really hilly road. Holy crap. I remember this one animation of this girl just running down a really big mountain city. Looks really cool. Don't remember what it was called, but it was really well animated. Sojiro encountered all sorts of people along his route to work. Still new to city life, he found the crowds of people outside the station utterly fascinating. In fact, they were the highlight of his commute. No 2 people wore exactly the same clothes, or walked in the same fashion. With so many people, you would think that they would all melt into an indistinguishable huddle, but each person he saw was different and unique. Sojiro was excited as a child as he looked out at the bustling, diverse street of the city.
Yeah.
Stop it. Closing his eyes in shame, he sighed. He was upset with himself for behaving like a bumbling tourist from the countryside.
ちょっと、青信号で突っ立ってられるの邪魔なんだけど。何柄にもなく黄昏てるんだか。
Oh, that's the classmate that he spoke with before, asking about the broom. A stern and familiar voice behind him snapped him out of his navel-gazing. I don't think we ever caught her name.
なんだ、マッドベアに行く途中だったんだ。私はコンビニのバイト。
Ah, she works at the konbini.
同じく5時からくまりはどこか寄るところでも
本屋に寄った帰り、読みたかった本がなくなってたから仕方なく出歩いてたところよ。
なるほど。時間を持て余しているところも同じだね。
The girl who greeted him was Kojika Kumari. Okay, Kojika Kumari. A work friend who was also in the same year at Misaki High. Though it would have been more accurate to say that she was looking for a pretext to fight him rather than to greet him. To Sojiro, Kumari had been the first person in the city he could look up to. Figuratively speaking, of course. They met at his first job, where she insisted he wasn't cut out to work at the register after many mistakes, and convinced him to quit working at the convenience store altogether. In the end, she introduced him to his current job at the Chinese restaurant, the Mad Bear, a much better fit for Sojiro. Oh wow. She wasn't just angry and trying to kick him out, she was actually trying to help him. Huh. I was kind of wondering, she said that they were co-workers, but he works at the restaurant instead of the konbini, and it made it sound like he didn't work at the konbini, even though he has multiple jobs. But yeah.
何その無理やりな顔。なんか元気ない。いつも以上にイラッとくるわ。しずきのいいところなんていつもピシッとしてる背筋ぐらいなのにみっともなく丸まってるし。もしかして悩みとかあるの？マッドベアにタチの悪い先輩でもいるとか。それなら話ぐらいは聞いてあげるから。
Oh, I'm getting bullied, alright. I'm getting bullied a lot, but I don't think there's anything you can do about it. Though her tone was stern, her eyes were earnest. Having grown up in the city herself, she was irritated by virtually everything Sojiro said and did. Nevertheless, she still treated him like an equal. Introducing him to his current job was just one example of her sincerity.
いや、別に悩みとかそういうんじゃなくて、不 思議なことがあったというか、珍しいものを見たというか。
Sojiro could not find the words to explain his situation, but that did not stop him from trying. There were no problems at the Mad Bear to speak of. He liked it just as much as he liked his other jobs at Uotatsu, the fishmongers in the shopping district. In fact, his problem had nothing to do with his work at all. No, his problems were a certain blue bird that would not stop pecking at him recently.
鳥につっつかれる？何それ？小さい悩み。
Oh, it just hurts so much.
でもまあ、青い鳥っていうのは確かに珍しいわね。
Oh, she is significantly shorter than Sojiro.
いや、珍しいのは外見の話じゃなくて。
He stopped, unsure of how to proceed. Words alone were not enough to convey the bird's plump body or the sound of its chirping.
綺麗な青色といったらマウンテンブルーバードだけど、日本にはいないわよね。青いツバメだったらいるかもしれないけど。
いや、ツバメじゃなくて丸っこいんだ。図鑑で調べたんだけど、どうもコマドリっぽいけど。
That's why its name is Robin. Have you not figured that out?
青色のコマドリは存在しない。しずきは縁日の青ひよこって知ってる？知らないわよね。いい、そう面白い話じゃないから忘れて。それよりそのコマドリって1羽だけなの？
ああ、1羽だけだ。つがいは見当たらない。
突然変異だとしたらちょっとかわいそうね。生まれた時から最後の1羽だなんて。孤独にも程があるわ。どんな鳥かは知らないけど、次に見かけたら優しくしてあげたら、自販機で10円を拾うぐらいの幸運が運んでくれるかもよ。
That's a very specific example. I'm just imagining Sojiro like putting a 10 yen coin in its mouth. Her words were perfectly kind, but he could hardly sympathize with the creature after all the painful pecking to which he had subjected him to. He wouldn't have called the bird lonely either.
いいじゃない、小鳥1羽ぐらい。そりゃ都会で鳥につつかれるのは珍しいけど、いい方の珍事よそれ。これがゴミ袋を漁るカラスの大群だったら困りものでしょうけど。
あ、そういえば他にも気になることが。
Could have sworn there was a flock of birds in her room. Her example had reminded him of the mystery of the disappearing birds at the mansion. A stranger than strange event.
実は今あそこに見える丘に住んでるんだけど、出るんだ。大量のムクドリが頻繁に。そのくせ街に出ると見かけない。
I'm gonna be honest. If I were in Shizuki's spot right now, I would not be telling anyone about where I live because that would literally just draw attention to the fact that he lives there, the mage's place.
当たり前でしょう。街じゃ鳥なんて見かけないし、あそこは山だから動物は多いんじゃない？それよりあなた、あの山に引っ越したの？前のアパートは引き払ったって聞いてたけど、学校まで通うの大変じゃない？
Out in the boonies. Yeah, I don't want to be there.
ちょっとした成り行きだよ。それに通うのは大変じゃない。大変なのは中の話なんだ。
Have you heard rumors about it being haunted? Well, it's being haunted for sure, just not by ghosts. It took 30 minutes to reach the town on foot. And the 40 minutes to the nearest convenience store would be a real kicker for most people, but for Sojiro, it was no inconvenience. The real problem was the dark forces beyond human understanding that lurked within the grounds.
すまない。それはクマリに話すことじゃなかった。それより今の話だ。町には鳥が少ないと言ったけど、どうして？
単に環境に適応できなかったのよ。何？鳥の話には随分と食いつくわね。しずき、動物好き？
どちらかというと好きな方だけど。
そう、私は嫌い。そんな私に鳥の話とかしてほしい。
Should have said something sooner. Her statement could hardly be more self-contradictory. Minutes after telling him to be nice to a bird that attacked him, she was now claiming that she did not even like animals.
そうだな。嫌いなだけで苦手でないのなら知ってる範囲で聞かせてほしい。
痛いとこつくじゃない。いいわ、バイトまでの時間つぶしにしてあげる。さっきの続き、環境に適応できるかできないかってところからね。今でこそこんなだけど、岬はここまで大きな町じゃなかったんだって。昔はその半分が森だったから、彼らはもともと森に適した生活をしていたのよ。
The way Kumari addressed them was of note. Whether she liked them or not, she seemed to at least have some respect for them.
でも近代化した町じゃ自然のサイクルも成り立たない。人間ってのはまず環境を自分たちの都合に変えるから。やぶかが多いってことで小さな川の流れを変えたり、町中コンクリートで塗り固めちゃえば鳥的にはお手上げよ。
I agree with the streams to get rid of mosquitoes.
虫も森も少ないんじゃ、もう山に逃げるしかない。彼らは故郷を追われてこの森から山に移った。人間にとって都合のいい町は鳥たちが生きるコロニーにはなり得ないから。
そんなことぐらいで減るものか。その姿を見なくなるぐらいに。
そこまで極端じゃないとは思う。現にあなただってムクドリを見てるでしょ。比較の問題よ。町には人間が多いから鳥の姿は余計希少に感じるだけ。たまに見かけるだけで珍しいと思えるぐらいにね。
ああ、確かに。じゃあ鳥は町からいなくなっただけであの山に移り住んで。
Humans might not be able to see them in day-to-day life, but they were alive and well nonetheless. Their habitat and lifestyle changed with the times, but they never truly disappeared. Sojiro's sense of relief was sharply disrupted by a serious look from Kumari.
あの山に天敵がいなければね。人間の手による乱獲か、移った先にいる生態系との衝突か。どちらにせよ居場所を失った彼らの寿命は短いと思う。一世紀持てばいい方かもしれない。
Man, Kumari is quite the pessimist.
旅行鳩の例もあるし、気がついた時には取り返しつかないのが動物と人間の関係よ。
旅行鳩？
そう、旅行鳩。体長は40センチほどもある大型の綺麗な鳥。オスの翼は深い青色で、胸は鮮やかなエンジ色。オレンジ色の目は嘘みたいに愛らしくて、その羽は時速100キロで長い距離を旅するの。
Yeah, I gotta look up a picture of this. Sounds really cool. Her voice had a certain tenderness to it. She was daydreaming about birds she had never ever seen in the flesh.
北アメリカにいた鳩でね、春は南から北へ、冬は冬越えのために北から南に移動するの。今から100年以上も前の話よ。彼らはかつて地上で最も繁殖した高等動物だった。何しろその数は50億。当時
Damn.
の総人口より多かったっていうんだから、圧巻よね。
なんと人間より数の多い動物がいたっていうのか。
Not even in the mountains? In the mountains?
うん。でも彼らは絶滅したわ。他ならぬ人間の手によって。16世紀にヨーロッパからアメリカ大陸にやってきた探検家たちは空を覆い尽くすほどの鳥の群れを見た。それが旅行鳩を記した一番古くて確かな記録。まあ私も本で知った知識だけど、太陽を隠してそのおびただしい数で森を覆って雪のように糞を落としていく光景なんて今じゃもう夢物語でしょうね。でも当時の人にとっては悪夢だった。
I kind of wish that I don't want to think about them raining down droppings like snow.
旅行鳩一羽一羽は美しいフォルムをしていても、それだけの数が集まればそれはもう暴力なんだから。彼らはその時
That's a
点で
lot
は
of birds.
森を破壊し人間を脅かす悪魔のような存在だった。
Wow, that is definitely a lot of birds, and that's what the image was from before. Whew. I kind of wonder what the point of this conversation is in the grand scheme of things with, you know, magic and whatnot. It definitely helps, like, introduce Kumari and her character, but don't really know where this is going.
英装地は 10km にまで及んで、1コロニーにつき5万羽近い鳥の鳴き声が響いたのよ。一瞬にして風景を変えるほどの鳥の群れと、世界を覆うほどの鳴き声。冒険家たちが救んだのもうなずけるわね。
一つの住処に5万羽
No way! Sojiro trailed off as he attempted to count the numbers with his digits. He could barely count the numbers of people in the crowd outside the station. This would be far beyond his capacity.
でもそんな数の鳥を人間の手でどうやって。
ええ、当時誰もがそう思ったんでしょうね。でも話は簡単だったの。人間にとって旅行馬とは脅威でもあったけど、同時に
Ah, whoops.
渡り鳥の胸肉は美味しいでしょ。よく鍛えられてるから。
Oh. Ah, it was
でも
delicious.
話は簡単だったの。人間にとって旅行馬とは脅威でもあったけど、同時に安価な実りでもあったから。
There we go.
そんな食材が空に向かって鉄砲を撃つだけでバタバタと落ちてきたとしたら、あなたはどうする？
Oh, that's true.
まあ、身も蓋もないことを言えば、旅行馬とって鳥は簡単にお金にできる生き物だった。かくして狩りは延々と続けられた。落ちた鳥は羽をむしられて、塩漬けの樽に押し込まれて、次々と出荷された。
Ah, this reminds me of what we saw in the last chapter when they were talking about, a bird that was flying and then suddenly it was shot
そ
down.
れはもう狩りですらなかった。ただの消費。人間側は労働の実感も作業の手間すら感じなくなっていた。その頃、旅行馬とは1羽1セントで手に入れることができたんだって。
Damn.
ここで言うならたった1円。ほんと。信じられる。その国最小の通貨1枚で売買される命が、この地球にはあったなんて。
Kumari spoke as if reciting from a textbook. Her voice, nevertheless, had a certain darkness to it. Was it pity for the slain birds or disgust for a fellow man? Either way, the passenger pigeon's fate was a cruel joke that carried out by humanity. Typical, some might say. Poor Sojiro had yet to comprehend how typical that side of humanity was.
けど、それはまだまだ序の口で、本番は19世紀に入ってからだった。人間の旅行馬と狩りはますます熱狂していった。学校で習ったでしょ？ゴールドラッシュ。南北戦争を経て、アメリカ合衆国は急激に成長していく。
The Oregon Trail as well.
西欧からの移民は増え続け、1870年には4000万もの人口に達していたわ。そんな移民たちの胃袋と財布を満たす材料として、旅行馬とは最高の獲物だった。で、もっと最悪なことに、人間は工夫する生き物だった。彼らはより早く、より多く、より簡単に旅行馬とを乱獲する手段を競い合った。目をつぶした鳩をおとりにして集団を誘い込んで、1日で1万羽以上捕らえたやつさえいた。それでも彼らは乱獲に疑問すら持たなかった。繁殖と狩猟のバランスは誰が見ても明らかに狂っていたのに。
Yeah, this is definitely the conversation I wanted to listen to before going to work. As I do the same to fish. She was doing everything she could to speak in a calm, measured tones. Sojiro, meanwhile, was completely enraptured by her words. Having been raised in the mountains, it was by no means a happy story for him, but right now he was more interested in knowing why it ever happened in the first place.
それ一方的すぎないか？旅行馬とだって数が減ってくれば人間には近寄らないんじゃ。
そこが彼らの不幸だったのよ。旅行馬とは繁殖力が非常に弱くて、自衛手段を持たない鳥だった。大群で暮らすこと、それだけが彼らの身を守る手段だったの。
Huh. That's kind of interesting. For a bird that had such a large population, you wouldn't expect them to have low fertility rates.
彼らが50億の王国を築けたのはそれまで天敵がいなかったからなんでしょうね。
Oh.
先住民であるインディアンも彼らを乱獲することはなかったというし、けど入植者たちは自然のサイクルには点で疎かった。何よりあのおびただしい数の鳥が絶滅するなんて夢にも思わなかった。旅行鳩にしたら晴天の霹靂よ。まさか何世紀も遅れて海の向こうから天敵がやってくるなんて。そうして1896年、人間はようやく熱狂を冷ますほどの現実に直面したわ。たったの25万羽。それが確認された旅行鳩の総数。何もかも手遅れよ。急いで保護法が作られたけど、人間の習慣はそう簡単には変わらないわ。あるいは狩人たちはこう思ったのかもしれない。まだ25万羽もいるじゃないか。1000羽や2000羽ぐらいなら独り占めしても構わないだろうって。そうしてハンターたちは当時最新の技術、電報で旅行鳩たちの所在を知らせ合って、実に20万羽の旅行鳩を仕留め、4万羽を傷つけた。生き延びたのは5000羽だけ。この時点で彼らは野生で生きられる種ではなくなったのよ。
Sojiro's face sunk into a scowl. No longer able to survive in the wild. He knew all too well what that phrase meant. No wild animal can last long on its own. No animal can survive without sufficiently large populations of their fellow kind and sufficient feeding grounds to support the group. Strength in their massive numbers was all the passenger pigeon ever had, and so, once that was gone, they were as good as extinct.
それで旅行鳩はどうなったんだ？
最後に保護された旅行鳩はたったの3羽。シンシナティの動物園ではオス2羽、メス1羽の旅行鳩が飼育されたけど、1年でオスたちは死んじゃったわ。残されたのはメス1羽だけ。その時点で彼女は地上で最も孤独な生き物になった。名前はマーサ。
Ah, that'll be the name of the chapter.
北アメリカを旅する鳥たちの最後の1羽でありながら、ただの一度も空を飛ぶことができなかったカゴの鳥。結局29年で彼女はその命を終えたわ。1914年9月1日午後1時。一つの種が終わる時間がここまで正確に残っている例は今のところこれだけよ。
Wow. Huh. That is pretty interesting. The story of 5 billion deaths had finally come to an end. The birds had been swallowed up by the machinations of human civilization. Kumari had intended to show her sympathy for the lost species, but the emotional impact had clearly been all but lost on Sojiro.
意外。できるだけ私的に語ったつもりだけど。悪いみたい。
Whoops.
山育ちのあなたには憤慨者の話だと思ったのに。
いや、すごい話だったけど、整理がつかなくて。当時の人たちは自分たちの手で減らしておいたのに、なんで最後は保護したのかって。
Kumari stared blankly at him, eyebrows raised high. What he likely meant was to ask why humans would protect the last of a species. They themselves had hunted into extinction. Kumari could hardly be blamed for her bewilderment. Having been raised in the city, she failed to recognize the danger inherent in his cluelessness. He felt neither anger towards humans for their base selfishness, nor sympathy for the birds, who remained in their natural habitat even at the cost of their lives. His upbringing had not provided him with a necessary sense of self-righteousness to produce feelings in either direction.
相変わらずよくわかんないやつ。まあ、私が言いたかったのは、どんなに強く美しく見えても、居場所から追われた生き物は儚いってこと。しずきくん、あなたが見た鳥は、その最後の1羽かもしれないわよ。
And with that, their idle conversation came to an end. It was nearly time for their shifts to begin, and Sojiro was the first to head off.
らしくない。何熱く語ってたんだろう私。
Kumari remained in the park after Sojiro left. Martha, the last of her species. She had not been referring to the blue bird when she mentioned Martha, but...
やめやめ。珍しいから特別視するとか、バカみたいだし。
She rubbed the back of her head, apparently angry at herself for getting involved in something that was none of her business. She and Sojiro were not even in the same class at school. He was a total stranger as far as she was concerned. The more something bothered her, the more she felt compelled to investigate it. It was a personal quirk of hers, and the only reason she had gotten so worked up about the passenger pigeons. Kumari's well-groomed brow furrowed. She had only spoken to Sojiro to make sure he was doing okay at the Mad Bear, or maybe was it that she had been strangely drawn to him? The more they spoke, the more she felt drawn to him.
まあ、見てて頼りないってのが一番だろうけど。話してみるとしっかりしすぎてるのよね、彼。
Are you sure? Amidst her muttered complaints, she recalled their conversation upon parting.
で、少しは街に慣れた？
To which he had given a weak shake of his head.
全然。何にせよ、覚えなくちゃいけないことが多すぎて。
He was trying his best to keep up with the overwhelming amount of new information every day. However, despite his apparent naivety and frailty, he was in fact trying to learn everything he could about his new surroundings. But, at the same time, there was no reason it needed to be so overwhelming in the first place. It was only due to his own naively subordinate frame of mind that he felt compelled to memorize each and every detail.
どうだろう。素直っていうのはちょっと違うと思うよ。単にそれがいいことか悪いことかまだ分かってないだけかもしれないし。
He awkwardly claimed.
そうね。でも、もしかしたらそもそも。
Kumari stopped herself mid-train of thought, deciding to instead wave goodbye and take her leave. She sighed aloud every time she replayed the scene in her head. Work at the convenience store started in 5 minutes. She gave herself a light slap on the face in an effort to forget their conversation. She reminded herself that she had neither the energy to worry about other people's problems nor the obligation to do so. She had her own concerns, saving up enough money for college, for example. Fighting against her parents' opposition every night was draining enough. There was no room for burdening herself with other students' issues.
でも、もしかしたらそもそも。
It was not like her to get so tongue-tied. She thought to herself under a strained smile.
ほんとはっきり言ってやればよかった。あなたは単にそういうのに関わる気がこれっぽっちもないんじゃないのかって。
He really did annoy her. Now in the thoroughly bad mood, she left the park in a huff. Round 2. Fight. I'm coming, Robin. You're not gonna get me this time. Oh, whoa. This is a different, angle that we ever really see Alice in. She's always looking to the side or something. I don't think I've ever seen that expression on her face. When Sojiro entered the drawing room after work with a gift of sardines for his roommate, he came face to face with Alice sitting on the sofa.
や、こんばんは、アリス。
The sense of familiarity to be able to say, I'm home when entering the mansion had still eluded Sojiro. He headed straight into the kitchen to fill a bucket with water to keep the sardines fresh. But the icy stare on his back sent him anxiously to the refrigerator instead.
台所にバケツはダメなんだな。
Calmly accepting the change in plans, he shoved the sardines into the fridge and peeked back into the drawing room.
アリス、青崎は？
さあ、自分の部屋にいるか出かけているんでしょう。
Her reply was curt. He nodded and got to work cleaning the kitchen. There was nothing in particular he wanted to say to her, and also sensed that it would not be a good idea to start up a conversation needlessly. So he tidied up the sink area, washed the cutting board, wiped down the knives, and put away the cutlery so that they could be easily found. Her black eyes monitored every action in his streamlined workflow. a rhythm that even most seasoned housekeepers would be envious of. He would surely notice her gaze before too long. He bent over to store a large pot under the sink when it happened. As he began to stand back, he locked eyes with Alice and then, Bird! Bird up! What? What? Okay, so that's what it sounds like. It can talk. Before he could make another move, he felt something slam into the back of his head. A bright shock of blue. He knew what it was without looking. It could only be the mansion's blue robin. Why? Why? Sojiro muttered under his breath. It was a rare situation that made Sojiro feel like complaining. The robin chirped in a shrill tone. You see, this little creature that loved to attack Sojiro was the greatest of the mansion's many wonders. And with good reason. Oh my god. Woo! 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 Like so. Sojiro had an inkling of what the bird was getting at. For someone raised in the mountains, this was an utter nightmare. Animals were not supposed to be able to talk. Then again, having lived in the mountains for over a decade, he did sometimes feel like he could understand what the birds were trying to say. He knew it was just his imagination, but sometimes he thought that they even saw him as a friend. That was not the case with this bird. Sojiro had a realist attitude towards the wild animals as a result of being so familiar with them, in contrast to the ever-mysterious humans who lived in the city. It's real. As much as he wanted to deny the reality he was facing, he could not help but recall Kumari's story. She had said to try and be nice to the bird the next time he saw it. According to her, any rare or one-of-a-kind creature must accordingly feel very lonely. Oh my god, it sounds so annoying. The bird perched itself on the telephone receiver, seemingly worn out from all the flapping. Sojiro was dumbfounded. Listening in silence to the bird's chatter was his way of expressing his denial. Oh god, it's been half an hour. Why are you blue?
特技はズバリ探偵役と被害者役。でも探偵である自分が真っ先にコロコロするんで、誰が自分を殺したか結局誰もわからないっす。
Always playing the victim, aren't you? Always playing the victim card.
プロイ、待ってくれ。それには聞き覚えがある。プロイって何なんだ？
何なんだと言われても困るっす。
Say what? Is you asking what I is?
エロいとか役いとかの最上級じゃないですか？
What? Why? Why would you say that? Why? Thusly, the conversation began between the two most powerless residents of the Kuonji estate. Humankind and birdkind, able to understand one another after all. Sojiro was tired of letting the bird get to him, fully aware that ignoring it took more energy than it was worth. Filled with a sense of resignation, by the time he had finally did make an attempt to interject, both parties' guards were firmly down. Sojiro was focused on how rare the bird was, while Robin was focused on his showdown with his rival that was to be eliminated at all cost.
いいっすよ、細けいことは。そんなことよりマイ天使アリスさんの話をするっす。
アリスって天使なのか?
It was an impressive sign of progress that he did not need to ask what an angel was.
ヒーっす。自分にとって
って天使のような存在ってことっす。下界の喧騒とか自分の言葉をガン無視するところとかマジ天使。アリスさんは神聖不可侵にして冷酷非道、舞女神であったところの母君とはちょっと毛色が違うっす。正直母君ちょっと育て方間違ったっすね。
そうか、そりゃアリスにもお母さんはいるんだよな。この家にはいないようだけど。
イエス、悲しいことに見まかられたっす。あの頃は前衛の鳥が鳴いたっす。アリスさんに負けないぐらい美しかったっす。後でアルバムとか見るっすか？6ペンスで手を打つっすよ。
I'll pay. Show me what the mom looks like.
いや、そういうのは本人の許しがないと。
Sojiro said earnestly as he tilted his head. The reason for his unease was also due to the fact that he had grown more interested in Alice than before. Despite his detached and passive attitude, he was still a young man like any other after all.
イエス、それはそうっすね。お前シャバ像の割にいいこと言うっす。人の過去花とかみだりにしちゃいけないっす。
Okay, you know, judging his voice is very high pitched and kind of annoying, but just judging from like the way they're saying it, I want to be like, and you'd be right, lad. And right you'd be, lad. You know you'd make some sense for a pharaoh human. You're right. I shouldn't go blathering about other people's past. I want the bird to sound like that.
ところでアリスさんの子供時代の話とかしていいっすか？自分シャバ像の知らねえアリスさんを赤裸々にアピールして精神的上位に立ちたいっす。
あ、いや、だからそういう話は。
安心しろっす。アリスさんには黙っておいてやるっすから。
A little rabbit and pork? What?
まずはあれっすね。自分とアリスさんが初めて出会った時のメモリーを聞くっすよ。アリスさん見えて友達一人しかいなかったっすから、もっぱら自分が話し相手っつうか。
Alice is gonna kill you by the time this is over. You're sharing too many secrets.
カコーンカコーンってピンポン玉打ち返すゲーム、あんな感じっす。アリスさんのメモリーはおよそ14年分。じゃあ、1年目から行くっすよ。
いや、だから。
行かすやー。
Here we go!
もう誰も自分を止められないっす。
Okay, I'm starting to like this bird. This bird was trouble. The word bird brain had taken a whole new meaning to Sojiro. If he were stuck here listening any longer, he had the feeling that he might hear something he would not be able to unhear.
すまない。そろそろいいかな。
With a wave of his hand, he attempted to flee to the attic above the second floor.
待つっす。ここからがいいところなのになんで去るっすか。スカーレットオーハラ激動の主人公気取りっすか。
Oh my god, they actually name dropped it. No, you just wait a minute, boy. You're about to miss the best part.
そのあたり自分なんか納得いかないっす。まだうちに入ったばかりの新参者がなんでアリスさんの視線を独り占めしてるっすか。許せないっすけど、その秘訣を教えてほしいっす。切実に。自分本気出したらすごいっすよ。
Call this bird a snack because it's getting all jelly.
何？
Halfway up the stairs already, Sojiro quickly retraced his steps.
君、今のはどういう？
What did you say? I'm getting all the attention?
だからアリスさん好きあらばお前を見てるっす。思い出したんすよ。そもそも自分熱視線でサーチされてるからって突き上がるなと釘刺しに来たんす。だいたいその字は何度も自分に助けられてるっす。
Mr. Sonoji.
アリスさんの命令がなかったら今頃その字鏡の中でおだぶつっす。これなんすかね。人間の感情とかわかんないっすけど、魚辺に里とか書くっすかね。
Oh man, I'm liking this bird.
助けられてるって俺が？
まあ殺そうとしてるのもアリスさんっすけどね。アリスさんはこう言ったっす。彼が鏡の中に迷い込みそうになったら助けてあげて、きっ 険なものには近寄らないように誘導もしてあげて。でも思い上がらないことね、しずきくん。別にあんたのことが心配なわけじゃ。
It happened in a flash. With a swift, unhesitating strike of her hand, Alice squashed the bird right then and there as it sat on the telephone receiver stand in the foyer. Her pressed palm continued to pin it down. The bird's crushed form resembled a bright rubber ball, like what a child might play with.
アリスさんくらいさ。そ
Ah.
して痛い。体中の血液がくちばしからこう右方向に流れていく感覚が。
You're killing me. I can feel all the blood in my body gushing out me beak. The bird raised a mighty roar, a mighty uproar.
これの言うことは気にしないで。
She's like, you didn't hear anything, and the bird's like, beep 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 beep. You know what? This might be the thumbnail. Yes. Alice returned to the drawing room, taking the bird with her. Her dark silhouette cloaked in shadow was the complete opposite of the gaudy little bird. Sojiro folded his arms as he stood alone, no less confused than before, and whispered,
こうしてますます疑問は増えていくのだった。
Just another day at the Kuonji estate. Up at the night sky, visible through the skylight. I think that was it. That was really stupid. But that was pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of wish there was a little bit more. Well, honestly, I'm gonna end it here. I think this episode's gonna be a little shorter. But I think starting another episode, especially the next chapter of the series, is going to be a little bit much. So this will be just under 50 minutes probably. But yeah, that was kind of funny. I didn't expect the bird to talk, so I was just as surprised as Sojiro was. I didn't expect to have like an accent or like the way that the vocabulary the bird was using was definitely let's just say I'm pretty sure I gave it the more accurate voice. And I mean, I could always assume the personality of the bird because of its actions. It always kind of like didn't want Sojiro to live and really liked Alice, but I didn't expect to actually voice its opinions. But yeah, next time we're gonna tackle Are You For Real? But this time in all caps. Just going back to the archive again, I'm pretty sure that was the name of the last chapter. So if I go to the bird afar, is it gonna say Are You For Real? No, it's just gonna jump straight into this. No, yeah, chapter 7 was Are You For Real? See in the corner. See.
はい、今日の授業はここまで。
All right. Well, oh no, I saved it here by accident. But yeah, next time we're gonna do Are You For Real, but all caps with an exclamation point. And we'll do that next time. And until then, I will be seeing you. See ya!